GM, just a quick one before we get going. So, as you know, the Blocmates podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Certainly shouldn't be considered as financial advice. We have absolutely no idea what we're talking about half the time. So, any investment decision you do make should be based on your own research and your own understanding of the risks involved. One more thing as well, there's around 50% of people who listen regularly who aren't subscribed yet. So, if you please could just do us a favor and hit the subscribe or the follow button or the like button. Helps content grow, helps us grow, helps it reach more people like yourselves, and it means the world to us as well. So that's the last I'll ask of you. So yeah, let's get to the episode.
Oh, we're live. That's why I like doing this organically. That's a good way to bring it in. Morning, fellas.
Morning.
All good.
All good.
Tuesday, tumbleweed out there again, but not going to stop us from getting through this thing. Okay, prices and flows. So we have Bitcoin. It's up 0.6% in the last 24 hours to 26,265. That is down ever so slightly from the last step on Thursday, which was around the 27k mark. ETH is up 0.6% to 1,567. Again, I believe that's slightly down from the last episode, but I foolishly deleted my note there. And Binance inflows over the past week because I forgot to do the total market cap. So on the daily, we're down 155 million, and on the weekly, we're up 56 million. And we have the fear and greed is, again, still neutral, down to like 46, but relatively similar to last Thursday. Okay, so straight into the winners. Who wants to start here? Do we want to kind of kick off with MicroStrategy?
There is no second best. Saylor's at it again.
Which one's the best crypto asset? Well, Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Okay. What's the second best? There's no second best. There's no second best crypto asset. There's a crypto asset. It's called Bitcoin, right? Right? There's no second best. Okay. It's not like Google and Facebook. It's not like Apple and Amazon. Yeah, we can debate Apple or Amazon. What's better? They both look like tech monopolies to me. They both look pretty good. On the other end, Bitcoin or no, Bitcoin. Bitcoin's a crypto asset. This entire idea of like 60% dominance is bullshit, ridiculous, stupid, right? Like, it's stupid. It's not 60% dominant. It's like 96% or 95% dominant, right? The thing, and you compare it as a crypto asset to a like kind of proof of work crypto network, right? There's meant to be a store of value. You know, you're lucky if you can scrape together 5% of other stuff in the last bucket, so there is no real
just buy in. It's like it's not even as if, like, for someone who hasn't seen, like, if you haven't been online yesterday, they've bought another 5,445 Bitcoin, and it's taken their average up. I don't know how he's managed to bring the average up, but he's done it. He takes like dollar cost average to like the next level, where he just doesn't look at price and just, you know, it's like, at least get someone in. Yeah. I think there was someone bringing up that there was a Coinbase TWAP happening the other day, so he hasn't exactly just like bought the top of everything. So there was a bit of fudge going on in the order books. So I think that's obviously what that was. But they've announced the 5,445 additional Bitcoin. That takes them up to 158,245 Bitcoin, which is, over the course of its life cycle, this whole portfolio is down 11.88% off 561 million. And he's just sat there tweeting Bitcoin train pictures that he's obviously figured out how to use Midjourney, and he's created AI Bitcoin trains and shit like that. Just sat in his room shouting there is no second best. So like, this is gonna be like there'll be The Big Short, then the SBF movie, and then the third installment of that series is gonna be Michael Saylor's like triumph or his demise.
A Wall Street Bets movie, and it's coming out soon. Really? It's the guy from it's the guy from Batman. Do you know the Riddler? He's the main character in it.
Oh well, is that the? I thought that was the GameStop movie, the one that's
Yeah,
coming. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
I thought it was just like honed in specifically on GameStop. To be fair, I didn't know. I haven't seen that much of it. What's his name? Paul Dano. I do like him.
Paul Dano's class.
Yeah, who was it that was telling me the other day that Tarantino hates him though? Was it you,
Me.
Grant?
Yeah, there will be blood. Tarantino said it's the best movie ever made, apart from Paul Dano.
Jesus,
he's a dickhead, Tarantino, isn't he?
Imagine getting dug out like that.
Tarantino is the kind of person who would invest in Bitcoin Satoshi's vision and tell everyone it was the real Bitcoin. Like, that's just the kind of person he is. Like, invest in BSV and just like, that's it. And like chew your head off like coked out of his mind at a fucking dinner party, telling you how like Craig Wright is the real Satoshi and shit like that.
Craig Wright again. Get Boyle back on. Bloody hell. Oh dear. So last episode we covered post tech as well, which is only growing more traction.
Mike, do you know anything on this?
Not really that much, to be honest. There's not much going on. We've been picking the barrel, haven't we, in terms of what we're going to discuss. I think it's just more of it goes on off the back of what you were saying last week, Grant, in terms of even though the primary like friend tech in terms of everything like that always gets the mind share, it still doesn't mean that beta players don't perform to a certain extent or to a certain level when they go on these other chains. And obviously this post-tech one's on Arbitrum. So they've seen 55k users and 8 million volume in the first week. But they're introducing a token, which is always a strange factor because why they're doing that and what's the purpose.
Just blow your load too early. But the thing is, like, the only time this has ever really worked, and it's always been a flash in the pan, is who did really well with it. So OpenSea, obviously, I don't think they'll ever have a token. If they were going to launch one, they probably should have launched it by now. Definitely after like Blur have completely went toe to toe with them. But LuxRare effectively did OpenSea and then slapped a token on where you stick the token and you get protocol revenue, and then X2Y2 did the same thing. So that's all that's going to happen. You're going to see iterations with increased Ponzinomics and blowing the token and going to market with the token prior to friend tech, because they've kind of telegraphed how and when the token will effectively come onto the market, which will probably be around 5 months from now. So, you know, if they were savvy about it, they'd slowly allude to the token and then probably front run it by a month or so. But who knows if anyone's going to be paying attention at that point in time. And
it's also like gamifying it, isn't it, to a certain extent, where you just like when you're just dropping a token and there's no incentive to hold it, then it's one-way convergence to zero, because almost the time anyways.
I don't get what, like, it's just a complete waste of time though, because whoever's creating it, if they've raised any capital whatsoever, which I'm assuming they probably will have, the maximum they're going to get out of that is probably 10% at TGE, which is kind of standard of, particularly for seed investors, what you'll see. And depending if that's completely inflated against what the seed price was, then all right, they might make a little bit of money. But as you say, Mike, like that initial airdrop sell-off is going to be ridiculous. There's going to be absolutely zero incentive to hold that token. And then it just becomes a game of Ponzinomics of how high can we prop the token price up until we're all fully vested and fully sold on the market. It just makes absolutely no sense. For some, they might be doing it for the right reasons. I don't know. I haven't spoke to them or anything. But it feels like just kind of narrative hacking and jumping on the next like bandwagon. And, you know, I don't know. Just seems like a fucking waste of time to me.
Well, yeah, again, it depends how they do it, isn't it? Like we've seen it with like Banana Bot and stuff, like they release a token on the market in a wanna, and it is hard to just prop up that token, unless it has some sort of inherent value tied to it. But whatever. Strange things have happened as well when we're in this market. It's that dead that there's always some Degen who wants to bet on something. So
yeah, I mean, well, we're talking about it as well, aren't we? So doing something. Mike, do you want to talk about Arbitrum Odyssey?
Yeah, I just think it's funny how, like, obviously the start of the year there was the whole uptick in terms of speculating on the airdrop for Arbitrum, and that came. And then there was some speculation at the time with the incentives that were dropped to certain protocols and what the ratio was for certain protocols versus their own market cap and what that looked like. And you saw, I think there was a couple of protocols that got considerable value dropped to them versus the market cap. I think one of them was Vesta, which we'll probably go on to, but it looks like they're starting this Arbitrum Odyssey again. So it's a case of like, even in this market and where we're at now, with they've got 50 million of dollars worth of incentives. And I know there's been quite a few protocols that have been built since that first initial, I guess, speculation earlier in this year. So will we see an uptick, and will people bridge back over? So it may be something we keep an eye on in terms of volumes and just an even token price in terms of what Arbitrum looks like, because it's been pretty dead over there, hasn't it? For months, there's not much volume. Most tokens are depreciating in price along with the rest of the market, really. So it was a bit short-lived. So it's whether this will change that outlook, really.
Yeah. I just think incentive programs it's difficult because you can always run an incentive program, but all the mission is there is, if it was in a bull market, you'd probably look for it to be a way of accumulating the ARB token. But at this point in the market, it's just going to get immediately sold. And, the Arbitrum DAO, or if you even want to call it that, obviously they're trying to mobilize now. But the initial AIP was a fucking shit show. And then they completely knee-jerked and went the other way, where there was so much back and forth and bureaucracy and people just wanting to like dick measure and get their point across, as opposed to just getting shit done. So there've been two ends of the spectrum. One, disregard governance completely. Two, get completely stagnated because no one can come to a decision because everyone just wants to be heard and everyone wants to look like the smart one in the room. And now they look like they're coming to a decision, which is, let's just go and release 50 million tokens in the ecosystem and try and get some traction back. Yeah, it's good to get eyes on, but if we've learned anything, it's just vulture capital that comes in and then rinses and repeats and moves on to the next. I've said this a million times, like the L1 rotation is effectively gone, I think. The L2 rotation is going to just replace that, and it's all to do with who can prop the token price up for the longest duration of time whilst giving out the most meaningful incentives to try and act as a customer acquisition cost. But I just don't think it's the right market to be doing it in at all. But better than nothing.
We'll see. Need something. That sort of leads us right into Vesta, really, doesn't it? Which, again, Mike, I feel like you should start this one.
Again, we don't have to. We can move on from that. Like, again, I just thought it was interesting in terms of, I was talking about to you guys in terms of what was the appreciation of price in Vesta all of a sudden, because it jumped from like $0.11 to about 0.44 in the space of a week or so. And it looks like their VSP6 has been passed, and they're looking at, well, essentially, all token holders are going to get a pro rata share of the total Vesta treasury, and the total treasury is currently valued at, when you break it down per token, is 0.526 per token. So you're getting a premium if it's trading it now at 0.44. You're getting a premium on that. We were just discussing there when we're going like why it's not actually at 0.526, but it may be just because of the risk of it. Like, that's just a speculative value at 0.526. So whether that's like the true value and whether you can actually get that is, I think they've got quite a few things to resolve in terms of what they're going to agree upon moving forward before this even gets distributed. So I think anyone who got in early who was trading at significantly less than that would be making a decent premium on it. But now it maybe not be the case anymore.
If it hasn't been resolved up until now, around following the announcement, and it looks like the governance proposal will close, there's a lot smarter people than me who've baked that into the price. So as I say, it might just be that 0.526 might be a speculative value, and people could be pricing in at the time duration risk. It could actually come down a little bit further. So there's like a whole cohort of people in this space that like their ideology and their way they attempt to go to market with capital is based around these kind of arbitrage players of RFV and risk-free value and protocols closing down and capturing kind of token holder value and trying to get that back up to market cap parity and things like that. So like if these guys do this all day, every day, we just create content and release it around what these guys are doing. So I'm not going to go and rush in and buy at 0.44 anytime soon.
Yeah.
Unless we're just super early and super on it, but we're not.
It looks like Coinbase are at it again with the SEC, which sort of pop up yesterday, which is no surprise really, is it? Nor is it anything new.
Yeah, it's around Celsius, like the assets and the claims. So Coinbase have effectively said, look, we'll act as a platform where people can come onto Coinbase and then effectively get their claims and go and do whatever they want. So yeah, obviously the Coinbase benefits from user acquisition because you'd obviously have to sign up. Which I don't think is a bad thing, like providing a service to actually get your claims back just for the benefit of just signing up. Like you'll need something. The SEC aren't going to distribute them. But then because they've been butting heads and it's just turning into like playground arguments upon every aspect of every which case that the SEC and Coinbase are involved in at the minute. SEC's basically just said, well, no, we don't think this is the right platform to actually distribute them, even though probably the most legit crypto company on the planet. They're just you know, it is what it is. They're just going to bang heads at any given point they can, really.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's about it. And in the essence of time, one last thing. Biggest losers. Can't think of any.
Nah, I can't either.
No, none at all.
Nothing, no one coming to mind.
No. Just normal day at the office.
Normal day.
Yeah, nothing coming to mind, really.
No, nothing at all.
Yeah. Sign up to the newsletter. Have a good Tuesday.
Cheers now.
Bye.
Bye.